Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another live stream of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, January 10th, and we are on the European account. We're doing things a little bit differently. Things are not working well with the YouTube chat. We've got a 60-140 quest here, and oh no. I hadn't even thought about the Tavern Brawl on the Americas account. I'm gonna have to go back and play that in the post show. I can't trade any of these, but all I need is a Warlock, Shaman, 5 victories, and that will get 2 of these done. And then I might as well go 2 more victories if I can, just to ensure I have everything done. I'm trying to get Wednesday to be the day where I go long, because there's more news generally on Wednesday and there's more viewers generally on Wednesday. I also want to come up here before I do anything else and see where are we. We've already made it to rank 20 on standard play, so no real issue there. Again, Shaman and Warlock are our choices. Maybe we'll get really lucky and have a good easy Tavern Brawl. Build a deck of any size. Will fill the rest of 30 cards of shadow reflections of the copy of the last card you played. Alright. I think I've got this. So I can build a deck with anything I want, right? So this, and do I not have a counterfeit coin? Or maybe they're not letting me play the counterfeit coin. What's that 1 mana character that gets +1 for every combo? No. Return a friendly minion. That's not what I want. I don't want Shadow Step. We could do Jade Golem. That would be easy enough to play. I could do Sap. You could do deal 1 damage. Where's that combo card? It's clearly not this far back. All cards, right? You know, probably this is better than anything. Like, I just have to play 10 of these and that'd be almost impossible to defeat. There you go. We'll play 3 cards. Which, maybe on something like this you could just make a 30 card deck and play something better. Like, more variety applied properly might have you win. Alright, so this won't work. We need the original cards. Alright. Alright, so let's start going through the news. We have quite a bit of news. I'm not sure why. There's this game called Omen Sight. That's a time looping action game, according to PC Gamer. I guess I'm just gonna start calling out where I'm getting half of these articles. So, yeah. Let's watch this trailer and see what this game looks like. Starting with a cutscene of a bear humanoid and a bunny humanoid. It's gonna be one of those games. Anthropomorphic creatures. Eagle humanoid. They're all on the ground, knocked out. And there's like an evil spirit, or what looked like an evil spirit character, fighting a dragon. That is not telling me much at all. It's an action RPG. No, wait. This is a time looping action game about solving a murder. They were talking about a different game that was an action RPG. Omen Sight puts players in the shoes of a time-bending harbinger and tests them in solving the murder in a fantasy world of Urali. The murder kickstarted Ural's destruction, you see, and you've got to crack the case and prevent it. Alright. I can't do anything with this deck. I can't do anything until I have at least 4 mana. Oh, this sucks. And then it can start to succeed. As the Harbinger, players can manipulate time to see events from different perspectives and follow different characters to connect the murder. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm seeing nothing here really about the game, so Omen Sight is just Omen Sight ? That's all I can say about it. Sorry, that's not really news. That's the not news segment, which I haven't done the not news segment in a while, as far as a joke, but that certainly is it. This is interesting. Your Gamer keeps talking about the surreal cult classic called Yume Nikki. YUME space NIKKI is now available on Steam. It's apparently a cult Japanese indie game, available as a free download. The freeform adventure where you play as a character who explores the surreal dream worlds whenever she falls asleep in her apartment. It looks like an RPG Maker. Though created using RPG Maker, there is no dialogue, battle systems, or action to speak of. Instead, you find and use effects to interact with the dreamscape. So yeah, this is an RPG Maker. It's for free. It's been over a decade since the last update, and there is a countdown site for the next Yume Nikki project, which is set to end January 24th. And all they have is a small picture. So like, let me go to their Steam page, I guess, and let's see this, but I don't see how this works. I don't see how Yume Nikki works, and I don't see how I win this brawl this way. It seems like it's an attempt to do something like Catherine with no budget and using RPG Maker. And I think they are stretching the definition of a cult hit. Like, can I see the reviews here on Steam Enhanced? It is rated very positive. 95% of the 300 users rate it well. So maybe there's something there, or maybe it's just lowered expectations because you're saying there's no story, no gameplay really to speak of. It's barely anything at all. Like, I want to see. Here's a quote from their own website. There are no particular goals or nor story to speak of. You simply walk around. Checking certain characters inside the dream will increase the number of effects. I gotta see review. The first thing says, do not look at YouTube for any hints. There's no losing in a game and there's no winning in a game, but if you look at YouTube you'll lose the thematic feel of the game. Alright, we need to edit this. Like, the only way you even win here is gotta be something like this. Just 0 mana decks. We've got that glitch again. Next review, finally. Next review is just a picture. Like, these reviews are useless. Like, they're so abstract. They didn't even fix the problems in the original. Original version still needs Japanese locale as a negative review. There you go. Nice. I will take a victory playing just because somebody else quit. I will certainly take that victory and move on. That was an awful tavern brawl. Like, actually I won't move on. I'll go back and try it again because I would like to actually try the deck I just did. One more classic card. Let's disenchant 3 of those. And then let's look at the new things. Disenchant this for 50 dust. Because we're on our European account where fidgeting is the rule of thumb. Changing things. Ooh. Got a legendary. Don't even remember getting it. Let's try that again. Well, inherently, I think the problem with this game, as I'm trying to figure out what it is also in the review. Here's one that this game is a boring Undertale ripoff and about as exciting as a hallway simulator. Like, it seems like there's some kind of love for this. Like, it does have some kind of weird cult following, but I see nothing here. Maybe it came out 10 years ago when RPG Maker was new and there weren't so many awful RPG Maker games. But I've already kind of sworn off not playing RPG Maker games, so it's free, it's out there if you want to go play it. I couldn't for the life of me see a reason why you'd want to, though. See, you don't even get the coin. They've specifically made it so you can't get coins. A fan of Planet Coaster created an absurdly detailed 15-minute long ride inspired by the movie Aliens. Is this all 15 minutes of it on YouTube? Yeah, I think it is. Alright, so this. At least the shadow things don't. They don't reset every time you play another Shadow thing. So yeah, I guess that's about the most interesting thing you can say about that is if you want to go find it on YouTube, let's see, Aliens the Ride brackets Planet Coaster is the YouTube title. And I suppose if I was a fan of riding roller coasters, that would make some sense. Here's the issue with this is I won't be able to play this until I draw either another wisp or another item. And it's gonna take me 4 or 5 turns to win. And in those 4 or 5 turns, I suspect they'll be able to pull out whatever strategy they're playing. Moving on, The Blob 2 is heading to Xbox One and PlayStation 4 in February. Do we have an exact date? February 27th. I wanted to get around to playing the Blob, but the way things are going, honestly, I don't think it would air anywhere close to the February, what was it, February 27th? Yeah, no, highly unlikely it wouldn't air anywhere close to that. If I do want to play the Blob 1. There's no pricing yet, but it's £18 on Steam if you want to convert that to US dollars. This is from Eurogamer. The Blob is kind of like Splatoon before Splatoon. And this is a THQ Nordic game, so they haven't announced if all the upgrades that are on the PC are going to be on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. I really don't know where this is going to end up going. Like, are we going to find that THQ Nordic somehow makes a really large amount of money by selling all the old THQ games, and that way they can continue to fund Darksiders 3 and Darksiders 4? Or are they throwing good money after bad? Which might be the case. They very well may just be wasting their time. I suppose now is the time to play this. Nope, I don't think so. I guess you just hold on to this as a backup. Like, is THQ Nordic going to be bigger than Ubisoft, bigger than EA? And are their current actions going to be continued? And are they just going to be re-releasing old games or releasing games that aren't of the highest quality? If she's got one more card, she's won. Interesting. She didn't have one more card. Or one more mana. Well, this might work. This might work a little easier than playing random ranked. So we'll stick with it until we start losing. Moving on, Blaze, the StarCraft Firebat, is now a Heroes of the Storm character you can play as. Of course, Heroes of the Storm pretty much is every hero or character from every Activision Blizzard game. Let's see. Here's an interesting article from PC Gamer. Why the exquisite puzzler Opus Magnum was borrowed from good old games. And let's see what the reason was. It was rejected by the game distributor Good Old Games. Let's see, the quote is, "We take into consideration many other factors than just the actual game itself. The reviews we provide, for example, do not review the game in general. So like an objective game review, like on PC Gamer or whatnot, but we do it from the angle of our entire user base." Well, wait a minute. So how would the game have any reviews on Good Old Games if Good Old Games refused to have it at all? The reviews we provide, for example, do not review the game in general. So like an objective game review, like on PC Gamer or whatnot. But we do it from the angle of our entire user base. This is a statement written by somebody who can't speak English. It seems like that makes no sense. Like, that is the most confusing sentence. Alright, before this, the storefront, because it, quote, did not pass Good Old Games' internal curation system. So is Good Old Games paying like Indian people or somebody else in China to play games and curate them for them, and Opus Magnum was just too hard for them, so they said forget it and did a bad job? I reached out to Good Old Games for clarification, and the company confirmed the statements. Both posted as legitimate, adding they don't want to comment further on it. This would kind of make sense if there was a lot of stories of Opus Magnum like crashing, like if it just didn't run on their system. But I haven't really heard it. Opus Magnum's rejection sparked a debate around how video game storefronts are curated, with Steam's much maligned direct program serving as a counterpoint. Naturally, some backed up Opus Magnum, while others argued that missing a gem or two is a small price for weeding out the sort of shovelware that routinely clogs Steam's new releases page. Which, fair enough. What's really strange here is not that it failed the curation. It's that it didn't get corrected at all. That Good Old Games would be putting its foot down and refusing to reconsider it when they're seeing that this game is popular, it's succeeding, it's not just shovelware. Like, I don't get it. I'm reading a comment down below saying that Opus Magnum has an editor tied into Steam Workshop, so maybe they're trying to punish games that tie into their competitor, but I don't see a real reason from it. So the Good Old Game version would be missing that editor. But then there's a reply to this. Good Old Game says other games with Steam Workshop functionality though. So why would that be any real difference? Oh darn it, I am doomed. There's no way around this. I've lost. I should probably just give up now. Like, Yeah, it seems so strange that this wouldn't have been corrected, and you would have, like, the creator of Opus Magnum would feel the need to go public with it. Maybe he went public with it really quickly, but I mean, it seems like there was no click here to appeal our decision button, no reply to us if you feel like we made an error, return this information if you want us to reconsider. Like, it seems like being rejected just means being rejected and they refuse to talk to you anymore, which, I mean, you're shutting down the lines of communication in a business. That's not a great move. Moving on, since there's really no meat on that bone, Bungie's community manager has confirmed that Destiny's Crimson Days events are coming. The Valentine-themed event will include a two PvP mode called Crimson Doubles, plus more cosmetics to collect. If anybody is still playing Destiny 2 by Valentine's Day. That's me editorializing there. Darkest Dungeon for the Switch launches January 18th, which I guess would be yet another opportunity for me to stop lollygagging and actually play Darkest Dungeon. Well, I guess this deck is gonna fail kind of poorly if I go first. It is a little weird that Darkest Dungeon of all games is being allowed on the Switch, but Nintendo, it's kind of a new Nintendo now. It's like, sure, we'll have incredibly creepy, horrific games that we haven't had since like the GameCube. Like, honestly, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit there, but I don't, since Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube, there really haven't been any like horrific aimed at adult style games. I'm sure there were a few, but it's $25 to get Darkest Dungeon on Switch. That seems really high. And then $10 for the Crimson Court and $4 for the Shield Breaker. And it seems very consistent that Nintendo is charging like an extra $10 and forcing everybody to charge an extra $10 to get it on the Switch compared to the PC version. And that's quite a lot. Total War 3 Kingdoms has been announced for PC. It'll launch in 2018. It has a Steam page. Let's watch the trailer. The Total War series has, I think, been going, and so 3 Kingdoms is I imagine, kind of a Chinese version of it. Whereas I think Total War in previous instances has been more about medieval warring factions, like Romans and such. It's like, there's the famous Chinese book Romance of the Three Kingdoms, I believe is the name of it. Oh. Wow, he has picked the right character to do with that. So I could save myself 2 damage, but I guess I kind of have to. Yeah, this trailer is not showing any early gameplay of Total War, so like I'm not sure if I'd really want to play it ever. Like, as soon as this guy has enough to deal 5 damage to the enemy, he'll win. Finally, somebody's on the chat. Tyler Swan, it's been a while since I've been here. You there, man? I can't hear you. Interesting, you can't hear me? I hear myself. Now I can hear you. Can you still hear me? Like, I have this volume dial that turns up my headphones, but it's not supposed to adjust anything else. And every time I adjust the volume on any of these things, I start to, like, I move things too much. Hey, Tyler. Tyler says, yeah, you can hear me now. The chat is broken, so I'm having to look at the chat in a slightly different way. But that shouldn't affect too much. He says he thinks it was because he had Discord on. Alright, that possibly will explain things a little bit better. I love it when the problems are not on my side. So Ys 8 for PC launches January 30th alongside the PS4 and PS Vita localization update. There was a game that recently came out. What was it? It's not like Blaze Blue or something. Came out for the Switch that was a very Japanese RPG style game, and I wonder, since that didn't come out for PC, maybe I could cover Ys if I had the time, which I don't, so yeah. Eventually, when you have a series that's up to number 8, like Final Fantasy, and frankly, since I haven't covered any Final Fantasy or ever even played any of the Final Fantasy games, yep, he's gonna win now. This sort of works. So for today's Tavern Brawl, if you want to win, play just Mind Blast, dealing 5 damage to an enemy. Yeah, so Final Fantasies, at some point when I run out of games, I'm gonna have to start playing some of these Japanese RPG games, or I'm just gonna say I'm not gonna play any of the old ones. It's hard to recommend people going back and playing Final Fantasy 1, 2, or 3 just before they play Final Fantasy 15. I don't think any of it matters. You probably would just say play the good Final Fantasy, like 8 or 13, and skip a lot of the other ones. Moving on to the next thing. Capcom has shedded some light on the Monster Hunter World's PC delay. Monster Hunter World was originally announced at E3. Let's trade all these. And where it was confirmed to release on the Xbox One, PC, and PlayStation 4. However, the console version have long since had a launch date of January 26. Capcom only recently revealed that the PC is planned for autumn of 2018. You can kind of know what the delay is right now. Is Capcom and Japanese companies in general are typically a little bit smaller than other video game companies, and they don't particularly care about PC games as much as console games. Therefore, they didn't put as much effort into it. So Monster Hunter World will come out 6 months after the other versions. They're saying this is our first PC title and it's something we want to make sure we get right. So rather than taking up resources during console development and not being able to give our full attention on it, we want to get the console out the door, and then we're going to take some extra time and try and get the PC as good as possible. Which isn't a bad sentiment, honestly, because, you know, Nier Automata still hasn't gotten that patch 6 months later. Like, it still has some major bugs. It's pretty typical for Japanese games on PC to never really get the support that they need. And a lot of that has to do with certification. Like, you can't be on PlayStation or Xbox if your game is too buggy. You can have a lot more bugs and release your game on Steam. Speaking of PC games from Japan, though, remember the... Well, let's look at the chat first. Tyler says, I just got Battlefront 2 and somehow I do not regret it. Monster Hunter is a pretty good game in my eyes. Well, for a lot of people, including me, if this was the first Monster... This would be the first Monster Hunter game I played. And my fear is that the series has been a little bit grindy. And I'm hoping that Monster Hunter World... gets away from that. And I'm also kind of hoping that there's a story in it at some point, because if the entire game is just you go to a specific area to find a specific monster, and this really is just a hunting game with fictional creatures with no main story, no big enemy to defeat, and no goal, it starts to feel a lot like World of Warcraft, and just something where you constantly can do things. As far as Battlefront 2, if you're enjoying it, fine. Like, if there was a good single player experience in Battlefront 2, I could see myself playing that game and enjoying that single player experience in a few years and being happy with it. The problem, I think, is that there really isn't that good of a... I probably should have killed some of these guys, by the way. I don't think there really is that good of a single player experience, and people are going to stop playing the multiplayer. And so once that multiplayer is gone in 6 months or a year or even 2 or 3 years, the game may not even be available for purchase. I don't understand his trick here. He's drawing cards like crazy, gaining health. That's what he was doing. He was just getting to Mind Blast, and now he's won. Yep, people have figured out how to win here. Like, if people know this trick, you can do it. Play 2 of these guys to make Mind Blast cost 0. This is exactly what you see in ranked play with the Sorcerer's Apprentice and the legendary mage card that gives you a Pyro Blast after everything. Let's see. Let's see. Tyler says Battlefront 2 is a good game if you don't include, you know, the microtransactions. I'll add to that. I have this fear that is particularly in PUBG, and Battlefront is another issue there. I'm just not certain what's going to happen when there is just a flood of first-person shooter games. In decades previously, it was mostly the, you know, Call of Duty. Every year, the vast majority of Call of Duty players, and at times it seemed like 50% of all the people who were playing video games were mostly focusing on playing Call of Duty and nothing else. So my fear is that if the old Call of Duty players are now split between playing Fortnite and PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds and Battlefront and any number of other games that might have been split, I think as we start to have a ton of games copy Battlegrounds and have these 100 versus 100 player modes, we'll see a lot of games that barely can even have 100 players online. And we've seen some of that, like the Gearbox, what was it called? The Gearbox Overwatch style game, and Overwatch style games in general. It feels like as we get more and more options, the online player bases are going to get smaller and smaller, which is not going to work too well for multiplayer things. Let's see. Tyler says EA put time into Battlefront 2 and you can see that it's gorgeous. What do you think of Call of Duty World War II? I really don't think anything about it because I haven't played it, nor do I really have any interest in it. My gameplay style has never been for first-person shooter games. The only one that even slightly catches my attention is when they put some craziness and some RPG elements in it, like what is it, Borderlands. So Borderlands brought me in because it was crazy and because I had an RPG style and it was silly and it was playable as a single player experience. But when you start making your game from the perspective of you've got to have friends and you've got to be playing with your friends, that doesn't work that well. In fact, it works pretty poorly. Recently, Travis gave me the Jackbox Power, what is it, Jackbox Game Pack, which is 5 games and only one of them can be played by yourself. So I did a spotlight just to say thank you for that, but honestly, until I can get people to actually play that game with me, the other games, I can't actually do anything with it. And as a YouTuber that suffers from insomnia in particular, there's no way I can ever schedule anybody to play games with me, and I've never really played with other people. I know a lot of other people, that's all they do is they've got their crew and that every night everybody gets online, and I tried that, but it never worked. I tried it kind of late in my life, when I was already working a regular job, so I was getting a crew together of people that co-workers, and the job that we were all working kept moving our schedule around so much that we were never online, and even if we were online, we never wanted to play the same game. Inherently, that's kind of the failure of Facebook for me too, is that I have a personal Facebook, but nobody ever posts anything. everybody that's around my age is probably bored with it, and Twitter never works as something like that. So I guess that's a long, exhausted way to say I have no friends. But I really don't have any video game friends. That's the truth of it. And so I'm trying to figure out if there was some way I could shift some of the Hearthstone gameplay away and play some of the Jackbox Party Pack stuff, because it is up to 8 players and people play on their cell phones, so people wouldn't even need the game. I would just have to bring it up and there would be a 4-digit code and you'd go to a website on your phone and you'd answer the trivia questions. But right now I'm so trapped with doing the European and Asian accounts, which, you know, maybe I should give up on the Asian accounts. You know what, I should give up on this game. What am I trying to do here? But I'm tired of playing the same Tavern Brawl, so I'm gonna just play some regular Hearthstone. Yeah, but people do like the card pack openings videos, so if I'm gonna do the card pack opening videos, I was supposed to be playing Shaman and Warlock this whole time? Darn it. That was stupid of me. I was playing Rogue when I should have been playing Shaman. Shaman, Murloc play. Go into that. All the Call of Duty series is one that I'll easily just never play. People don't really need reviews for that series either, because if you're in the Call of Duty, you're probably going to play it every year, or there's enough reviewers out there to tell you don't play this one because it's bad. I really have no interest in playing a World War II game ever. Like, maybe Wolfenstein puts a slight spin on it to make it slightly interesting, but I'm just not really interested in World War II. So yeah, I really don't have much to say about Call of Duty. Let's see. Tyler said my Twitter got banned for me saying Kermit sewer slide. Interesting. Well, I will not say that on Twitter then. Twitter is such a useless thing except for celebrities. It's literally just like celebrities talking to other celebrities if they got that verified mark. And then everybody who's not a celebrity just gets put in this whole second class system where, like, sure, you and your circle of friends could be on Twitter, but why would you want to be? More than likely, you and your circle of friends are already on Facebook, and there's more things you can post on Facebook, and you're not limited to 280 or previously 140 characters. So then really the only reason why a normal person ever gets a Twitter account is to follow celebrities. Which, yeah, if you're on Twitter and you're following a lot of celebrities, you can follow me and you can see when videos are out. Because YouTube doesn't announce when videos are out that well. And if you wanted to direct message me, that on Twitter would be better than Facebook, because I won't see it on Facebook. I've certainly thought about maybe trying to make a bigger push to being popular on Facebook, but it doesn't really work for anything, because Facebook outright tells you that they're not going to show your content unless you pay them. So I'm looking for a new system that is better than Facebook. I'm kind of looking for more of a discovery system like Reddit. Ideally, I'd prefer my fans to see if they could post some of my videos that they think are really good to Reddit, like and see if they can get some upvotes and get new viewers on there. But there's so many rules and so many subreddits that don't allow that, and there's so many people that are trying to do the same thing, that the competition and getting into that rat race is not worth it. It's not worth my time. It's better for me to just keep on recording and keep on making content. So I'm still here on Monster Hunter games. Yep. So yeah, Monster Hunter World is gonna be 6 months late on PC, which means now there's no excuse for it being bad, is there? Like, if you're gonna make that change, you're gonna have to live with that consequence. So hopefully Monster Hunter World is good. Moving on, CES just lost power. That was 5 hours ago. There's been, over the past few years, an increasing number of mistakes happening at CES, of not losing power per se, but just but like a lack of cell phone coverage, a lack of proper handling of such a large conference, and CES is kind of going downhill. The update here says about an hour of no power, the lights came back up. Plenty of error messages showing the displays on the show floors as the company scrambled to get everything synced back up. The show must go on. And CES for video games kind of means nothing these days. It's just like, maybe there'll be a new TV technology introduced that will come out 5 to 10 years later. But hardly anything worth even mentioning, since it's all just kind of vapor until it actually happens. Tyler says, is anyone else here? Nobody else was chatting as far as I can see, but that doesn't mean people aren't watching. It seems to be like 1 out of every 15 or so people actually get on the chat and talk. But and then Tyler deleted that message. I really hate the way that works too. It's crazy that people can delete the messages, and even me as the moderator can't see it. Travis also gave me The Evil Within, which is airing right now, and I don't, if he is watching or if he does hear this, I do want to say thank you once again that The Evil Within 1 is getting at least 4 times as many views as what I normally get on a pre-recorded footage. I assume that is mostly just to do with the fact that it is a slightly newer game. Most of the games I cover are pretty old. I get them cheap on Steam summer sales, and I always knew in the back of my head, if I started playing games that were newer or close to brand new, that would be the case, and I'm glad to see some confirmation of that. So there were a few hours there where I was getting 1 view and then another view and then another view, and it's still only like 16 or 17 views on Evil Within, but that's pretty good. That's approaching what I average on a live stream, and I don't fully understand why live streams seem to get so many new viewers, but the best I can tell and the best feedback I've ever gotten is somebody literally typed in Hearthstone live and then they found a bunch of non-English speaking live streams, and then they find me, and I'm speaking English, and that's what they want. Tyler says, I know other people are here in here. Talk, people. Yep, I would certainly love that if fans came to my live streams every Monday, Wednesday, Friday and just talked to each other. There are some other YouTube live streams that I watch that aren't video game related, where the chat, I mean, it's a really popular thing, so the chat is just flying by, and it's mostly just garbage memes and jokes, and very little actual responses or communication where people are talking back and forth to each other. So I don't want to get to that point, but I would like to get to the point where there's, you know, as many as 30 active people having actual conversations and actually responding to each other, and some of it directed to me and some of it always will be directed to me, but I'd also enjoy if some of it was just friends talking to each other. Should I kill this? Probably. Moving on to the next article, Intel and Microsoft assess performance impact of the Meltdown and Spectre updates. This is this is a weird situation, certainly, because short of buying a brand new CPU, everybody, including me, in this update, if they're affected, which is to say anybody who has a CPU from the past decade, pretty much, is going to get this patch. If you're on Windows 10, I don't think you're going to be able to delay the patch. I don't think you'd want to delay the patch anyways. So everybody's going to get this patch, and then their CPU is going to be slowed down. Now, the debate is how much it's going to be slowed down, and for each personal computer, it could be very little. Let's see. Intel says systems outfitted with an 8th generation core processor and a solid state tray should see a performance impact of 6% or less. That based on Sysmark's result with individual tests, performance tests hit by between 2 and 14%. Intel performed the benchmark on 2 systems, one with a Core i7 Kaby Lake R and one with Core i7 Coffee Lake. Ultimately, overall impact will depend on the specific workload, platform configuration, and mitigation technique. In some cases, there are multiple mitigation options available, such as different performance implications and implementation specifics. So the thing here is, when I cover a video game, I'm covering it from the perspective of my PC. And I look at my PC and I say, well, it's a pretty average high-end PC. It's a gamer PC. And I could buy a new CPU and try to get away from this patch. Not right now, because there aren't any available, but in the future. But should I? Like, is it realistic to believe that all PC gamers out there are going to now fork over some extra money to buy a new CPU? And that would certainly break my rule of never changing CPUs in the motherboard. I just don't do it. Like, by the time I buy a new CPU, I buy a whole new motherboard, whole new set of RAM, a whole new set of everything. And usually that's because I've completely worn out and used everything. So this could definitely affect what games work well. Let's see. Microsoft says, with Windows 10 and new Silicons, 2016 era PCs with Skylake, Kaby Lake, or new CPU, benchmarks show single-digit slowdowns, but we don't expect most users to notice a change because these percentages are reflected in milliseconds. On Windows 10, on pre-2015 CPUs show more significant slowdowns, and we expect some users to notice a decrease in systems. So if you're running a 2015 or earlier computer, they're probably not even trying to do any performance improvements. They're probably just trying to screw you into buying a new computer. But this is a bad sales pitch. Even if you buy a new computer, you're still going to be slowed down. Windows Server though will show a significant slowdown, but that's not really an issue for gamers. It's very possible we're going to have to see patches and upgrades on games coming out on Steam specifically for Spectre and Meltdown. And it's very possible that a game you could play a couple of weeks ago perfectly fine now requires you to reduce the graphics setting a little bit. And I suppose if you're running a really old PC and you can barely run Hearthstone at the lower settings, you may find that you can't play it anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some reports of people asking for refunds on Steam because games just don't run. But I doubt it. There'll be too much of that. Tyler says most big streamers have slow mode so they can respond to people. Yep, that is true. I could turn on slow mode. It makes no sense when there's only one person on there. And so yeah, at some point I may have to turn on slow mode. There is also, I believe, in YouTube, a subscriber only mode where you would have to subscribe. And then there is also the introduction of Super Chat on YouTube where wow, he let me win that one. Thanks. Thank you, guy, whoever you are. So apparently he just had like a daily quest to play Beast and he didn't even care if he won on a ranked game. Yeah, I've seen big YouTubers where they turn on Super Chat and then you have to donate at least $2 before they even look at what you're saying. And it gets them a lot of money. Like $200 from a single chat every stream they do. They were streaming like 1 to 3 times a week, so they were making like $600 from a single person just every time they streamed. Which, you know, if you're making $600 a week, you're paying for one employee almost. You're paying for their healthcare. You're paying for them to actually work a job. Since I don't have anybody that works for me right now, if I was making $600 a week from Super Chats, that'd be great. Of course, YouTube takes 30% of that, and eventually you'd want to move it on to something else. And that's what Patreon's for. But those are all fantasies for me right now until more people subscribe and more people come to live streams. And while we are still a small community, there's no reason to turn on slow mode. There is an issue certainly that's growing with YouTube and their recommendations and who they suggest. I haven't mentioned or gotten into the whole Logan Paul thing, but it brings about just some ridiculousness that their recommendation algorithm on top of their censorship that they do on their site has just left reality behind and been crazy. Specifically, Logan Paul was allowed to be #1 on trending, showing a real dead body, and then when somebody did a parody of that and had an actor pretend to be a dead body, they took down that video while leaving Logan Paul's video up. Although, to be fair, Logan Paul, I think, took down his own video before YouTube could step in. But all of this comes down to Maker Studios and Disney, the owner of Maker Studios, having all the power on YouTube. And they shouldn't. Moving on to video game news, Microsoft is working on a new Xbox career system for the Xbox achievements, aiming to extend beyond the current gamer score system, which let's see. The new system is allegedly being implemented to alleviate the problem where gamer score doesn't fairly represent the accomplishments of esports players and the other gamers who might spend the majority of their time in a single game, which is fair enough. Like, when I cared about my gamer score on the Xbox 360, I bought a lot of cheap used games, and those cheap used games turned into a very high gamer score. But I never played any of those games like an esports player for long amounts of time. The new career system could affect how developers choose to use achievements in their games, which could serve to attach new meaning to the score, which is interesting. In general, I think it's fair to say that the achievements on Xbox have gotten tired. It was cool when it first came out. It was kind of forced on the game creators. A lot of game creators don't like having achievements in their game at all, and yet they were forced to. I don't know if they're still forced to. And so there's, I don't know what I want to do here. An update certainly is due. Like, there's certainly some things that I could do. Also, it's I think the career system is going to try and integrate loot crate rewards to give you avatar bonuses, so more people deal with avatars. Of course, I'm not into the Xbox system anymore, so like, that's really not going to affect me any. It's kind of surprising Steam hasn't ever had an avatar system added, just for stupid reasons. Like, should I play this? I guess I should. Like, it certainly could be there, and Steam does have achievements, but it doesn't really care about them. It's more interested in the badges and the trading cards, and the badges and trading cards certainly allow you to go insane with spending money on digital goods. Like, people complain about microtransactions, but my real addiction is getting badges to get higher levels, to have more friend slots so I can have more friends on Steam. And having higher levels is supposed to give you more booster packs, but it really doesn't. I'm like on level 86 and I get maybe 1 or 2 booster packs in a year at that level. Let's double check. Nobody's saying anything else in the chat. Nope. Street Fighter V Arcade Edition has a patch notes out. Let's see. Increased active frames for regular throws from 2 frames to 3 frames. Increase the combo scaling. See, this is the problem with Street Fighter, is that people are actually going to care and want to know if you change the number of frames from 2 frames to 3 frames in Street Fighter. It is such a high-level pro-focused game that it's kind of hard for anybody to get into it. which is in part the reason why when I was building a collection of games for kids in the arcade set, I put Street Fighter as like Street Fighter 1, 2, 3, and like the first 12 or so versions of Street Fighter that came out as something there, because there is a decent chance that people will still be playing Street Fighter by the time a 4-year-old turns into an 18-year-old and should be playing Street Fighter, or at least they'll be playing games with similar styles of button presses and such. And to be fair, Street Fighter compared to Mortal Kombat is not very bloody. So if you're going for a fighting game for a young kid, I can't really suggest anything short of just Street Fighter. Like there's probably some cutesy cartoony version of a game that's a fighting game out there that nobody's ever heard of, but no. Let's see, there's some job listings. I think I'm going to save those until Friday. Let's see. The FTC lawsuit over the 2015 VTech data breach ends in a settlement. So this story is not super video game related, but the toy maker mishandled the children's personal data, and it resulted in a data breach. The settlement and preceding data theft incident serve to once again remind developers of the importance of complying with COPPA, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, and ensure the security measures. It is a $650,000 settlement after 2 years of investigating. The major data leak saw the theft of personal information belonging to 5 million customers, including over 200,000 children. So 5 million customers are going to get less than $10, you can say, for losing their privacy. That's what your privacy is worth to this FTC. Also, there was some kind of punishments that were supposed to be handed out to banks, and I don't fully know the story. And the Obama administration just said, nah, you don't have to pay those punishments. Like, the court had already decided you have to pay these for, I think it was doing business with like North Korea or something. Like something downright treasonous. And they just like, no, you don't have to do it. I know Deutsche Bank was one of the banks that they waived the punishment on, and Deutsche Bank has a lot of influence on Trump directly, since he allegedly owes them a lot of money, millions of dollars. Yeah, as part of the agreement, VTech will pay $650,000 fee and from a legal standpoint has not been found guilty of or admitted to any violations of the law. And see, I don't know why you would want to give your kids VTech stuff. I think it's a scam. In the old days, giving somebody, a young kid, a VTech fake computer toy made sense, because computers used to break like crazy. Cell phones and PDAs, they really did used to break like crazy. But nowadays, it makes so much more sense to just give them your old cell phone and put it in a case and just be done with it. Like, if a kid breaks a VTech, they probably would break a cell phone. If they break a cell phone, they'd probably break a VTech. And you just have so much more option. Plus, VTech is such a ripoff because every single app is like $3, $4, compared to going to the Apple store and getting something for free, or the Android store and getting something for free. And frankly, just giving them old cell phones and letting them break them and learn, like, they have to live with the consequences when they do break their toys, is a better lesson than giving them something that might be, you know, designed to not break and give the false impression that electronics don't break, which they do. Let's see, can I do both of these at the same time? No. So we'll do this. And we'll do this. Attack here. And attack here. See, Game Sutra has an article amid the rising tide of games, developers reflect on the state of the Switch market. This is really just asking people how they feel about the Switch market. In general, without actually reading this article, I can tell you that they're kind of happy with it. There's a chart here showing the number of games that came out between the launch in October, and it's a very linear line that goes up to 50, and then from 50 to 100 it starts to curve to a higher angle so that more games came out. And then let's see, it hit about 50 games in May, and then it hit about 100 games in July. And it's 150 in September, and then in October it hit about 200. And this would be more interesting information, I suppose, and this is the eShop specifically that this chart is talking about. It would make a lot more sense if it weren't for the fact that there clearly are cycles in releasing video games, and most games do get released in that October, November time frame, right around Christmas. A ton of the eShop games that were added were games that were already on Steam, and the idea, I imagine, is Nintendo was being very nice to them and letting them on their store, where perhaps in previous generations they wouldn't have done that. Let's see. We can do this. And then do this. Then we can do this. And this. And that. And that. PC Gamer has an article, 12 years later, the original Star Wars Battlefront 2 is steadily gaining online players. Good Old Games restored Battlefront's 2 online playing, and the longtime community members are determined to get new servers up and running. I assume Tyler was playing the new Battlefront 2 and not the old one. If you want to give Battlefront a try, keep an eye out for AS LAN's server, General 4726. If you don't see it, Liz. So that's the server to try and play on. There's like a Discord community. Let's watch this trailer for it. No, this old Battlefront game doesn't look bad. Let's see. Play. And freeze that guy. Charge. And freeze that guy. Nice. Attack. Attack. I think I have almost all of the Star Wars games on Steam, and my plan was to try to play or spotlight all of the old Star Wars games every May the 4th month of May as just a thematic thing. Play a couple of them every time. Yeah, and this Battlefront footage that I'm watching doesn't look bad. I mean, it's low polygon in places. It's definitely low detail, but doesn't look horrible. Of course, if I have to get on a server and play it with other people, and that's the only way to play it, then there's a slight issue there. Let's see how this works. There we go. Toshiba has some mainstream pricing with its new RC100 NVMe SSD, which is supposed to be the faster SSDs that hook up to the M2 connectors. Let's see. Prices are $90 for 480 gigabytes. That's not too bad. And, wait, no. It's already hoping that it would be $130 for 480 gigabytes. Alright. So, with the new M2 interface, if it is actually just not using the M2 interface to do the SATA connection, because there is a SATA 3 connection on the M2 interface, and then there is the NVMe interface. I think that's right. I could be wrong about that. If that's the case, that'd be nice. I believe my motherboard has an M2 connector, but I suspect I won't ever use it. Like, I imagine I'm going to move on to something else, to a second computer before I start using the M2 NVMe things, or I would plug an NVMe like RAID drive into a PCI Express thing. For the most part on my main PC, storage wise I'm fine. I've filled up my secondary hard drive which has 4 terabytes with just copies of the most recent YouTube videos, just using file history. So like every night it makes a copy of the videos in case something goes wrong and an upload fails or I forget to upload something. But all of that is just rolling, so the hard drive will automatically delete the oldest copies of the videos. And I don't have to do anything with it. And then my main SSD, maybe, you know, I think I have a 512 SSD right now. If I could go up to a 768 or even 1 terabyte SSD, that'd be nice, as games are getting slightly bigger and bigger with the higher resolutions. But it's very possible in this generation I will just not use any like 4K textures or anything. It's not like I could record and upload 4K footage. My internet speed is way too slow for that. But it would be nice to have a little bit more space. It'd also be nice to probably take all the save files off my SSD and put them somewhere else. There's no real easy way, unless somebody knows of a program that does that, that can find all the save files sitting around from old games from Steam. Let's see, I only need one more victory and then we'll be done with the European thing, and I'm almost out of news, so I think we're going to go into post-show play after this. The company Glue Mobile, GLU, sells its Moscow development studio and game rights for $4.5 million. So that's not a lot of money to sell an entire company and the game rights. $3 million in cash and $1.5 million in minimum guaranteed royalty payments. So not even directly $4.5 million. Let's see. The Halo Online developer Saber Interactive agreed to purchase the Moscow studio itself, which houses as many as 120 developers. A number of games developed at the Moscow branch have been transitioned to Glue's Hyderabad, India office, such as Contract Killer, Frontline Commanders, Blood and Glory, and Deer Hunter 2017. Wow, if the only game that's even recognizable is Deer Hunter 2017, you know this company was not making good games. And all they've done here is they're effectively downsizing by getting rid of Russian workers to Indian workers that you can pay a little bit less. So not gonna really change the world there as far as that sale. And I'm on the Humble Bundle, and this was the staff pick bundle. Is that still going on? Yeah, it still has 5 days to go. But there was this new, what was it? Hope for Orphans bundle that they've got. So the Hope for Orphans bundle, if you pay $1, you get Rising Storm Game of the Year Edition, Killing Floor, which I already have, Black Hole, and IL-2 Stormbach 1946. Never heard of it. If you pay more than the average of $7.22, which is kind of a high average, you get Killing Floor 2, which I don't believe I have that, Killing Bounty, Platinum Edition, Homefront The Revolution, which I probably have that. And if you pay $10 or more, you get Rising Storm 2 Vietnam, Call to Arms, full version, and Call to Arms Deluxe Edition upgrade, as well as some kind of coins you can use at the Humble store. So I don't think any of those games really appeal to me at all. So after the winter sale and spending some money there on the winter sale, I'm glad to not really have to deal with buying any Humble stores for Humble bundles for a couple of weeks or a month or two. We got all 3 of the daily quests done, which means both for the Americas and the European account now, I won't have to really. I'll only have to do 2 daily quests instead of 3. And let's go back to Twitter and see if there's any just really breaking news as we look at the Asian account and wrap up here. Let's see. Scrolling down Twitter to see if there's anything new. Quiplash, one of the games in the Jackbox Party Pack, was played on Jimmy Fallon, if that is worth saying. Alright. Also, Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet is bringing back that enhance your pre-order concept on Steam this time. So, like, you won't get things unless a bunch of people pre-order that game, to the point where there's like an entire second game that they're going to release if enough people pre-order, but they're not telling you how much you need to pre-order, from what I can tell. And I wouldn't recommend anybody pre-ordering Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet. On the daily quest, I need to trade this one out. I'm never going to get a watch and learn on the Asian account. Like, I'll try in the post show. I'll try to friend every single person I play. Otherwise, win 2 games with 100 mage could probably be done, and doing 100 damage can probably be done. VR chat is going crazy. I think almost directly due to PewDiePie and other streamers doing craziness on the VR chat and making fun of it. It's the new Half-Life, I suppose. I'm scrolling down Twitter just to see if there's anything else. I started watching the Gaming Grumps and following them on Twitter. Like, I'm trying to get some of the more popular sort of mainstream people in my YouTube feed, because I'm falling out of love with the people that are currently in my YouTube feed, like Giant Bomb. I'm ready to kind of leave them. Particularly since a lot of their stuff is just behind a paywall that I'm not willing to pay for. CES is showing a lot of small PCs, like mini ITX PCs. Not something you would want. Ideally, for a gamer, I would like a new standard that was a double ATX. It's twice as thick or twice as big as a regular PC, but it's half the price. Like, I wouldn't matter to me if a PC was less power efficient and it took up twice as much space. That would be perfectly fine with me. Alright, well, I'm at the end as far as Twitter, and I'm at the end as far as things to talk about. Thanks to Travis for not Travis, Tyler, sorry. I've got Travis on my brain since he gave me 3 different games through Steam. So, like, thanks to Tyler for talking and being. See, apparently this says the live stream is offline. Oh, let me go full screen and see if maybe the chat messed up again and somebody else has said things. No, I don't know. I don't know at all. I will say, the way this is going with the chat being messed up, I'm probably not going to be able to see or respond to people's chat easily. So this will probably be a silent post show, also no chat. You can type in the chat and I may see it, but I probably won't respond to it. Well, that's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.